For number 3, this one, when you first look at it, you might not quite know what to do. When I look at this, the first thing I notice is cosine times tan. I'm wondering if that's going to simplify to something a little bit nicer. So if I rewrite this as cosine x times, and then tangent is sine over cosine, that works out nicely for us because when we go to simplify this, the cosine in the numerator from the regular cosine and then the cosine in the denominator from the tangent, those two are going to cross each other out, which is good. So now we've taken two trig functions and we simplified it down into just one, so just sine of x. And that works out really well because if you look at the second part, cosine squared we can replace by 1 minus sine squared, which is great because now if you look at all of them, all of the trig functions are now in terms of sine, so it's going to be easy to factor this once we get it in the right setup. So we have sine x minus 2, and then it's going to be a plus 2 sine squared equal to negative 1. You want to get everything on one side of the equation. Since the 2 sine squared is positive on the left side, I'm going to leave it on the left side and move everything else to that side to be with it. So that sine x is going to go next. And then when I add 1 over, we're going to be left with minus 1 is equal to 0. Alright, so now I'm going to factor this. We talked about in class how sometimes it's a little bit easier if you write it in something, or write it in terms that's a little bit easier. So I'm going to choose to let a equal sine of x. So once you do that, you can rewrite it as 2a squared plus a minus 1 is equal to 0. And that puts it in terms of a quadratic that we're a lot more familiar with factoring. So I think most of you at this point would split the middle, so that's what I'm going to show you here. So we have 2 times negative 1, so negative 2 off to the side. We're looking for two numbers that are going to multiply to give us negative 2, that add to give us a positive 1, which is the coefficient of that a in the middle. So it looks like 2 and negative 1 are going to be our pair. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this as 2a squared plus 2a minus 1a minus 1 is equal to 0. And now we can factor by grouping. So if you look at the first two, you can take out a 2a. So you're left with a plus 1. And the second pair, we're going to take out a negative 1, so you're left with a plus 1. Alright, I'm going to add another page. Alright, so this is the spot we were at before I ran out of space. Once you've factored it by grouping, if you rewrite it, you should have 2a minus 1 and a plus 1 is equal to 0. Set each of those sets of parentheses equal to 0 and solve. So from this first one, you should get a is equal to positive 1/2. For the second one, you should get a is equal to negative 1. Alright, so if you remember a couple steps ago, we said let a equal sine of x. And this will be the time to put that back in for a. So sine of x is equal to 1/2, and sine of x is equal to negative 1. Alright, so sine is equal to positive 1/2. Sine's positive in the first and the second quadrant, so we're looking for the two angle measures from the appropriate quadrants. Sine of x is equal to negative 1. That's only going to happen one time on the unit circle, and it's going to be at one of the quadrantal angles. So 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, or 2 pi. Alright, so let's go back and take a look at our unit circle. So first of all, sine is 1/2. Sine is a positive 1/2. It's going to happen at pi over 6 in the first quadrant. And then sine is equal to positive 1/2. It's going to happen at 5 pi over 6 in the second quadrant. And while we're here, we might as well look for where sine is equal to negative 1. Alright, so again, we're looking for our y coordinate to equal -1. That's happening down here. So we had pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6, and the other one was 3 pi over 2. Alright, so those are the three angles between 0 and 2 pi. If I want to go back and write a general formula for our final answer. Alright, again, look and see where they are, see if they make a straight line. It's pretty obvious that none of these do. So all of them are going to get a 2 pi k. So 5 pi over 6. And then the final one, 3 pi over 2 plus 2 pi k. There's your final answer.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.